Okay, this is Jared Williamson, and I've decided to do a video on Matthew 24 and the idea of the secret rapture. And just so you know, I am showing that Matthew 24 does not support the idea of a secret rapture or the rapture. Okay, I want to show that people get that wrong. Okay, so I'm not doing it for the sake of proving people wrong. I'm doing it so people can, clean up their ideas a little bit and you know, try and get things a little more on target. All right. So if I can get my PowerPoint to work, come on. There we go. So Matthew 24 and the secret rapture, you'll see that in um, churches all over the place when they're talking about Bible prophecy and the second coming of Jesus, which I certainly believe in Bible prophecy and I certainly believe in the second coming of Jesus. Um, you will hear um, in churches when they talk about the second coming of Jesus, you will hear people say that, talking about the rapture, that Jesus is going to secretly come in, take the church out before the tribulation, snatch the church out, and take the church up into heaven. And most commonly, you will hear phrases like, two men will be in the field, one will be taken and the other left. And you will hear that, you want to be taken up into heaven and you don't want to be left behind. And the whole premise is taken from Matthew 24. And those who are taken up to heaven, and those who are left behind to suffer the tribulation, the 7 year tribulation, and the Antichrist, and that sort of thing. And you can see here, um, these images from these churches here, understanding the rapture. And it's got this quote from Matthew 24. And here we've got somebody, kind of disappearing, apparently being taken up, right? Here we've got people literally being taken. It says, few will be taken. Here, another image, someone being raptured up, or a bunch of people being raptured up. And it says, sermon series on the rapture, explaining Matthew 24 through 25, and so on. Okay. The basic premise behind it is this, that Jesus appears secretly and invisibly, takes up the worldwide body of believers up to heaven, makes them, translates them, takes them to heaven. They are taken, and the ones who are not believers are left behind on earth to suffer the tribulation. And again, the passages that Jesus said, two men will be in the field, one will be taken, the other left. Two women will be grinding at the mill, one will be taken, and the other left. Okay. This is called the rapture or the secret rapture because, it's not visibly seen by non believers. This is believed to could happen at any time. It's imminent. Could happen, before I finish recording this video. Could happen next week. Could happen in the next couple of years. It's believed to be any day now, but not known for sure when it'll happen. There's an entire video series called Left Behind. Well, video movies and book series by Leroy Jenkins and Tim LaHaye. Blockbuster series of books and movies called Left Behind. It's about people who were not taken to heaven during the rapture, and they had to endure the Antichrist and the tribulation and stuff. Okay, this is very, very prominent in American evangelical thinking. Okay, not prominent elsewhere in other, other Christian thinking, but in American evangelical thinking, it's quite prominent. Most of them don't know that the idea is less than 100 years old. And most of them don't know that, really didn't catch on until about the 1960s, I guess, 60s or 70s with the book Late Great Planet Earth by Hal Lindsey, about that time, 70s, I guess. Well, the passage it comes from is Matthew 24. I'm going to read this to you. But that day and hour no one knows, not even the angels in heaven, but my Father only. But as the days of Noah were, so also will the coming of the Son of Man be. For as in the days before the flood, they were eating and drinking, marrying and giving in marriage until the day that Noah entered the ark, and did not know until the flood came and took them all away. So also will the coming of the Son of Man be. Then two men will be in the field, one will be taken and the other left. Two women will be grinding at the mill, one will be taken and the other left. Watch therefore, for you do not know what hour your Lord is coming. Matthew 24, 36 through 42, New King James Version. This was Jesus speaking, and he's saying, it's just like in the flood, so it will be when the Son of Man returns, when Jesus saying when he returns. Okay? Saying it's going to be the analogous, same thing. Notice he said, until the flood came and took them away. He says it's going to be the same thing, but he says the flood came and took them away. That's a key part. And you'll see that's important. What happened when the flood came and took people away? What did the flood do to the people who were taken by the flood? They were killed, right? If you were not in the ark, you were taken by the flood. You were taken away to your death. The people who were taken in Noah's day were taken to their death. And when Jesus comes, the people who are taken, Jesus says it's analogous. The people who are taken are not taken up to heaven, they're taken to their death. The people who are not taken, here I use the term left behind, the ones who are not taken by the flood live. Jesus says, so also will the coming of the Son of Man be. So I put that same diagram up there. The ones who were taken by the flood, Jesus says will be the same way. They're taken to their death. The ones who are not taken by the flood, left behind, live. By analogy, because Jesus says the analogy stands, and two men will be in the field, one will be taken and the other left. The one who's taken to their death. The ones who are not taken, who are left behind, they live. Two women will be grinding at the mill, one will be taken and the other left. The one who's taken to her death. The one who is not taken, the one who's left behind, lives. The Left Behind series has Jesus's analogy exactly backwards. Those sermon series posters have Jesus' analogy exactly backwards. The ones who are taken are not taken up, flying up into heaven. Jesus says they're taken by the flood to their death. And that's not just my interpretation. In Luke chapter 17, Jesus is asked, right? I mean, you could argue with me on this. You can go, well, Dr. Williamson, Jared, blah, blah, blah. No. Jesus is asked in Luke 17. Jesus tells us where the taken are taken. There's my little play on words there. Jesus tells us where the taken are taken. You don't want to be taken. You want to be left behind. Just as it was, Jesus speaking, just as it was in the days of Noah, so it will be in the days of the Son of Man. People were eating and they were drinking, they were marrying, they were being given in marriage until the day that Noah entered the ark and the flood came and destroyed them all. See? The flood came and destroyed them all. right? They were taken by the flood and destroyed them all. I'm not done. I tell you, on that night, there will be two in one bed. One will be taken and the other left. There will be two women grinding at the same place. One will be taken and the other left. Two men will be in the field. One will be taken and the other left. And responding, they, the disciples, said to him or asked him, "Where, Lord? Where are they taken?" Jesus answers, "Where they are taken." And he said to the disciples, "Where the body is, there also the vultures will be gathered." Luke 17:26-37, New American Standard Bible. The NIV says, he replied, "Where there is a dead body, there the vultures will gather." He says where they're taken. They're taken to their death. It'll be a bunch of corpses. Those posters back here, right there, the taken, they got it exactly backwards. They got Jesus' words exactly wrong. This is exactly wrong. The ones who are taken, Jesus says, are taken. There'll be vultures. The taken will be corpses who vultures will be feeding on their bodies. I got it. And this is Jesus' interpretation. There have been millions of Christians who have had Matthew 24 and Luke 17 preached to them exactly wrong, and they've had the Bible right there in front of them, and they read it right along with them, right there in front of them, and they read it and they went, and got it exactly wrong. Entire series of books, entire series of movies, and got it exactly wrong. I'm not going to leave you hanging. The purpose of this is to keep it short. I'm not going to leave you hanging, though. Jesus does return. It's not an invisible secret rapture. There is a second coming of Christ. Now, secret rapture people do believe in a second coming of Christ. They do believe in a literal second coming. There is a second coming, but it's only a second coming. There's not a secret rapture. And I'm going to affirm this and give you some Bible verses that you can look at. The second coming of Christ is the blessed hope of the church meaning all true believers everywhere, not just people who belong to my denomination. Denominations don't save people, Jesus saves people. And the second coming of Christ is the grand climax of the gospel. The second coming of Jesus is literal, personal. He comes himself, visible. Everybody's going to see it. Worldwide. He doesn't just come to, Argentina or Nebraska, right? The righteous dead will be resurrected, and the righteous living will be resurrected immortal, and the righteous living will be translated and made immortal. They'll be taken to heaven. The unrighteous will die. When Jesus returns has not been revealed to us. Anybody that says they know the date of when he's going to return is wrong. And we're told to be ready at all times. I believe we need to be ready at all times for two reasons. Number one, Jesus isn't going to tell us when he's going to return. And number two, you might die of a heart attack. And, you never know when your last second's going to be. So you got to be ready at all times anyway. And then there's plenty of Bible verses down there for you to start reading up on. Okay. Anyway, I just wanted to keep it short. But if you have if you've had that passage preached to you and you've had it exactly wrong this entire time, I encourage you to sit down, reread that, get paper and pen out, make a diagram, reread it, and then ask yourself what you need to do to try and fix that so that does not happen anymore. Okay, it happens to all of us, but that's a big mistake to make. Okay, and please spread this YouTube video. It's not very long. I'm doing this as a hobby, and I want to do some good with it if I can. And like, comment, subscribe. I really appreciate it. And you know, positive, constructive comments would be helpful. All right, then. Thank you.